ask you a question. What do cancer survivors, Olympians, and infertility crushers have in common? And I want a one-word or one-sentence answer. Anyone? Sorry? Stress? Absolutely. Anyone else? Sorry. Oh, true. Great answers. Not quite what I was looking for, but that's okay. You're not actually supposed to know. I'll tell you in a minute. Oh, sorry, one more. Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. Okay, before I tell you the answer, I want to share with you a little bit about why I love helping women get knocked up. And don't worry, if you don't want to get knocked up, just being here and participating and listening to my talk won't get you knocked up, I assure you. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. Did anyone else know that? Anyone? A few of you. Did anyone know they really didn't want that pitter-patter? Fair enough, I don't blame you sometimes. Since I was a kid, I wanted to be a mom. And I was out there looking for Mr. Right, just like everyone else. And I was finding a whole bunch of Mr. Wrongs. And then when I was 42, I had this wonderful thing called biological clock bite me in the ass. It was decision time. I had a choice. I could either risk being childless in this lifetime, or I could become a single mother by choice. I chose to go the single mother by choice route. And I started going for artificial insemination after artificial insemination, month after month after month. I just kept going because, for me, it wasn't an option to not have a child. Every month, it was followed by disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. So, all along, I was also doing tons of things for my body to improve my physical health, to improve my chances of conceiving, and all of these things. And I had worked with naturopathic doctors before, so I knew a fair bit about what I could do to empower myself and improve my chances, and where I could go to practitioners. So I felt like I was doing everything right, and yet still nothing. I started working with a shaman, which was way more woo-woo than I ever anticipated. I'm a preacher's kid. And I started because my naturopath at one point had said to me, what if someone else doesn't want you to have a baby? And I was like, hold on, is that possible that somebody else could play a role in my life? Well, I was taking no chances. So that was enough to send me to a shaman. And the outcome, I went in to see her and I said, this is the situation, and let's get this job done. I want to have a baby. And of course, it really doesn't work that way. So I embarked on a spiritual journey that I never expected, and I'm still on that to this day. What it meant in the process, well, it meant a lot of things, but I incorporated prayer into my efforts to have a baby. I was not leaving any card unturned. You know the expression, if you throw enough at the wall, something will stick? Well, that's the attitude I had. So I was eating, breathing, and sleeping, having a baby. And the prayer process was really wonderful. And throughout this whole, at 44, I decided to up my game. Now I'm going to do IVF, because I'm running out of time. And there really was no explanation, no reason why it hadn't worked, except for the fact that I was old. And at 44, I decided to do 2 rounds of IVF. 2 because I had 2 vials of sperm left, and because of my advanced age, that was the nice way that they coined it, I only had a 6 or 7% chance of conceiving. Not very good odds. I figured I shouldn't keep throwing money at that. So, first round, nothing. And throughout this whole process, I had an ex-boyfriend floating in and out of my life. I like to call him Mr. Not So Right. And he was really supportive, actually, of this process of me becoming a single mother by choice, which was nice. He even helped me choose the sperm donor. Weird, right? You might not be surprised to learn that he chose the closest donor who looked like him. So, I think he hoped that he was going to get it together, but he never did. And so round 1 of IVF, nothing. Round 2, it's the first day of my second and final round of IVF. And in a conversation with him, I realized I am not fully committed to this single parent family at all. I'm still fully attached to the 2-parent family, and he's the other parent. Totally. And in that moment, I realized I have to be all in. I can't be committed to this. I can't be. There's no halfway anymore. If I want it to happen, it has to happen right now. And I changed my mindset in that moment by saying goodbye to him for good. So, in my example, it's all about baby. Oh, I forgot to tell you the most important part. I now have a beautiful 5-year-old baby girl. I was pregnant 2 weeks later. So, thank you. And so in my situation, it was about having a baby, but it applies to anyone following their dreams. You know, I'm sure there are many people in this room who have really wanted a job or really wanted to travel or to buy their own home or whatever it is. You just have to, and you've been hearing about it this morning in the talks. You just have to set your goals and dreams and go for it. So listen up, because there are things that apply to everyone. It's not just about me having a baby. That was just my journey. So by the end of this talk, I'm going to give you 5 tips that will help you start this process of going for your dreams. And at the end of the talk, I actually have a really amazing gift for anyone in this room or anyone you know who is trying to conceive. Does that sound good? Okay, awesome. So mindset, what is it? The Oxford Dictionary defines it as the established set of attitudes held by someone. When I started the research for this talk, I thought that I had, just lost I'm having a perimenopausal moment, so bear with me. It's also hot in here all of a sudden. Anyway, yes, when I started the research for this, I was very clear about what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the mindset of cancer patients and how having a positive mindset would improve your chances of surviving, and I expected to find research on that. And the mindset of Olympians and how becoming an Olympian, you have to master your mindset. And that I was going to talk about the fact that there wasn't any research on mindset and infertility. What I found surprised me. Almost no research on mindset and cancer, which I expected there would be. Lots of research on mindset and being an Olympian, coming out of Johns Hopkins University. It's amazing research. Some of it's on how they do all the flips and spins, and they do that by mastering the vestibular system. They call that the sixth sense. And then, of course, as expected, no research on mindset and infertility. So, is mindset not an issue when it comes to dying or being childless? Yet it's a critical issue when it comes to asking your body to perform at the most elite level in the world possibly ever? Seems like a disconnect to me. So, Dr. Jeff Spencer, there's lots of information about the mindset of an athlete. And in fact, I came across some people who are talking about cancer, surviving cancer, adopting the mindset of an athlete. Interesting. And there's tons of information out there. There's a Dr. Jeff Spencer who talks about the fact that we have 2 mindsets. He says that we have the human mindset, which we're born with, and it is fear-based. It's all at the fight or flight level, and its sole purpose is survival. There's no getting around it. We all have it. And then he talks about the elevated, sort of more modern brain mindset, which is the champion's mindset. And he works with champions. He is an Olympian, and he works with Olympians and business people performing at the elite level. And he says that the difference is that the people who are champions know that they have these 2 different mindsets. and they know they have to choose the champion's mindset every single day. And the difference is that the fears still come up, but you don't have to make your decisions based on the fears. They come up, and you know you can move through them, and you can work through them. So he says you have to choose the champion's mindset every day and stay vigilant to it. And that's how you get to move through to a different life. Whereas the human mindset can only repeat history and keep you in the same life you have. So, in my situation when I was working with the shaman, one of the things that we identified was that I had the archetype of damsel in distress. And I never thought of myself that way, so it was kind of funny to discover. And she was, fierce and loud and young, and she had this belief that she was very attached to the knight in shining armor. And she was so attached that she was telling me all the time that if I couldn't have the knight in shining armor and the baby, then life wasn't worth living. That wasn't such a good inner voice to be listening to. In fact, for about a year, I had this beautiful condo. I'm from Toronto, but I had moved to Ottawa for a number of years, and I had this beautiful condo overlooking Parliament Hill and on the 17th floor, and I didn't let myself go on the balcony for about a year. Because I didn't want her voice to be stronger one day at a time when my when I felt too weak. So I didn't take the chance. So, this damsel in distress, when you think about the human mindset and champion's mindset, I think I was stuck in human mindset. And I had to break out of it. And I did that by changing where I was, getting rid of the knight in shining armor, Mr. Not So Right, and moving into a different reality. And I got exactly what I wanted. That was the cool part. And when we think of my example, the damsel, we don't always know. Okay, so I talked about the fears and how you can know what your fears are and you can overcome them. But there's also the times when we don't know what we don't know. Lots of times. When you think of my damsel, I knew those were her beliefs, that she was attached to this knight in shining armor, and she kept telling me, if you can't have the knight in shining armor and the baby, life isn't worth living. What I didn't know was that her beliefs were my beliefs. That was a bit of a shocker, and I figured it out in that moment, and as soon as I changed it, we had a different outcome. So I call that the blind spot. And that's what I do when I start working with people. We create a vision of what we want to happen, and then we identify the biggest blind spot, and we clear the fear. And we just keep doing that until there isn't any left. It's powerful work. Okay, I want to give you 5 tips. So the first will probably be obvious. Choose a champion's mindset. Do it every day. Make it into a ritual, part of your morning ritual. The second one is to, another perimenopausal moment. I changed my talk last night, and so now I'm paying for it. The second is to use the power pose. I'm going to share a pose with you in a moment that you can use you can put in your champion's toolkit, and it will help you. And the third one is to foster a champion's mindset. Yes? Number 2 was, it was the power pose. I'm going to tell you in a moment. Use the power pose. Yeah. And I'll explain the power pose in just a moment. And cultivate champion's mindsets in all the little people in your life. And you do that by letting go of the outcome, whether it be a grade or a picture. Let go of the outcome and really ask them questions and engage with them on the process. How did you come to that math answer? Why did you choose yellow? Engage with them on the process and let go of the outcome. And set a goal. This is one everybody's been talking about today. Well, not everybody, but you've heard it today. And it's really about going for your dreams and setting them, and write it out every day. Just create a little, it can take you 5 minutes in the morning where you set yourself up to have a different day. Okay, the power pose. This is fun. I'm going to get everybody to stand up. You can either stand in this power pose as if you've just won the 100-meter dash, or you can stand in the Wonder Woman pose, which is a little bit easier to do for a minute. Okay, awesome. I love it. So what you're doing is you're standing in a high power pose. We've been talking today about, or I've been talking about how your mindset influences your body and your life. And, I like that big one back there. And what you're doing now is you're demonstrating to yourself how you can use your body to influence your mindset. Okay, so Dr. Amy Cuddy, stay in one of the forms of power pose. Dr. Amy Cuddy has done research, and she found that when you stand in a high power pose for 2 minutes before a stressful situation, your testosterone level goes up and your cortisol goes down. So your dominance hormone goes up and your stress hormone goes down. And if you stand in a low power pose or sit in a low power pose, which might be staring at your phone, hunched over, I'm sure you get the idea, then it's the opposite. Your cortisol goes up and your testosterone goes down. And so the leaders of our world, the great leaders, maybe not one south, I don't know what he's got going on, but the great leaders have high testosterone and low cortisol. And it's a really good decision-making environment. So whenever you're going into a situation, can anyone think of a stressful situation it might be helpful in? I certainly can. Yeah, absolutely. Interviews, a difficult conversation. There are just so many times. All you have to do is stand in this for 2 minutes, and you've changed your hormonal makeup. And she talks about fake it till you become it. Because if you keep using this tool, then it will come naturally. And you won't have to go, okay, I got to leave 2 minutes to go and stand like this. And it'll come naturally. So that's Dr. Amy Cuddy, and she's done that research. So a tool to put in your toolkit. Okay, everyone can sit down. Thank you for that. So if we go back to going for your dreams, what would life be like if you knew you moved into your truth and were really living full out? Who could you become if you went all in and rose like the phoenix? It could be pretty amazing. I want to share with you a tool that I promised you that I would have an amazing gift for the people who are trying to conceive. One of the powerful things that people find when they work with me is that we develop, I'm calling it a personalized pregnancy meditation. And it's literally taking somebody's current situation. So it's circumstances that they can't control and fears that they're aware of, and we wrap it all up into one paragraph that they can read, and it's really positive instead of all the negative they've got going on in their heads and they're feeling. And so I've just developed it, and it's very exciting. And so people can go to our Facebook page, which is Want to Get Knocked Up, and they can, of course, and they can fill out this quiz, and they will get this personalized pregnancy meditation. So please share that if you know anyone who's struggling, because I think they'll find it even just comforting to be saying positive things to themselves all the time. Okay, I want to share with you a quote, and I wrote it down because I just chose it last night. Before I do, I invite you to come over and speak with me. I'd love to chat with lots of powerful, lots of fearless women. And the only thing worse, this is the words of Seth Godin, the only thing worse than starting something and failing is not starting. Be bold, be brave, be fearless, and go for your dreams. Thank you.
Cassandra, Bach.